Well, after pulling records of shooting suspects and shooting victims just in September, we found many of them to be convicted felons who just keep committing crimes. We also found states' laws on habitual criminals can't keep them locked up. So we tracked down your lawmakers to see if they're willing to make a change.
As Omaha struggles to deal with violent crime, the source of the shootings appears predictable and sometimes preventable. Only state law will not allow it.
The way that it's gauged right now, the trigger point is probably makes it a tool that's not very useful.
State Senator Pete Persch isn't alone on the issue, an issue that appears to cross party lines, according to State Senator Jeremy Nordquist.
As a state, we've come together we supported putting this in statute to begin with, but its effect is not what it should be, and clearly I think it needs to be revisited.
As the statute's currently written, a convicted felon must go to prison twice. Each time, the convict must serve longer than 12 months in prison. Then, the convict must be found guilty for a third felony before facing a minimum 10 years in prison.
But you may have somebody that's a career criminal that has 12 different felony convictions, and because they only served 2 different stints in prison that were over a year, and because a good time, maybe some of those stints were less than a year, you can't apply the habitual criminal statute to them, but they are in fact a habitual criminal.
Both the Omaha Police Officers Association and Douglas County Attorney Don Klein think it's time for lawmakers to make a change that helps keep the public safe.
That's a little frustrating because you can have a multiple-time felon who doesn't qualify for the habitual criminal.
Do you think there's pressure not to make changes because of the prison overcrowding population we have?
I'm certainly sure that's a consideration, but I'm sure if you ask the majority of Nebraskans, they'll say that they don't want budgetary concerns made at the expense of public safety.
Both Senators Persch and Nordquist say it's time to consider change.
The threshold where it kicks in is too high to do any good for prosecutors to kind of take a look at those individuals who are extremely dangerous.
From what we're hearing from law enforcement and county attorney, that it's not being applied the way that I think many of us who believe in that type of a policy think it should be working.
If a change is made, it will likely be part of a much bigger legislative package on prison reform. Now, both Nordquist and Persch say it just makes sense as they begin to debate changes to things such as the state's good time law.